So, Ralph, it's peculiar how every single person in the world has the ability to grow no matter how far they've gone. Stay till the end to find out how you can benefit from our growth process in mind in terms of developing your own little roadmap, in terms of the veins and the pipelines of connecting the roots and mentalities of where you're trying to grow, and how developing partnerships is the way to get there. Welcome to the news. So ultimately today we're trying to take a little bit of a turn in developing partnerships that is a focus for trying to make little roadway pathways to be able to grow in certain directions that also correspond to how you're growing, what it is that your business, your brand, your focus, your personal brand, your mentality, your idea, your roadways, your pathways, your marks in the world, your neural pathways, your focuses, your attention, your development, your process, your future, your pipelines, your ability to be able to expand, and how you grow yourself. It's like asking yourself, where are you growing? But at the same time also corresponding that to the element that is an understanding which relates to Warren Buffett, and how he also mentioned in the past how his whole portfolio is a result of, in essence, a larger depiction. It's a larger painting is what he's called it in the past. So ultimately, if you're able to connect with that mindset, then you can see that you can paint pictures in life with free tools known as spiritual finance tools help you carve out little pathways and roadways, which are your own little roadways to be able to figure out the direction of where you're growing. But where you're growing is sort of a metaphysical concept. And what metaphysical concept? Process, because in essence, you're leveraging the spiritual and the physical at the same time to be able to make these pathways of where you're growing into in the essence of space and time. In essence, it's a metaphorical connective process to the metaphysical, because in essence you're leveraging things that are in space and where you're growing into in terms of time, how you're growing into them, and those things are physical, but they're physical in the metaphysical sense, and they're physical in the metaphysical realm, which in essence is what spiritual finance corresponds to. And so being able to leverage spiritual finance tools allows you to build a house, or build a picture, build a painting, or build an apparatus, basically build an engine, build a process, build a functioning mechanism based on little principles that in essence you can develop yourself by having repetition in certain directions, where you're able to develop little processes of repetition, like systems that you develop yourself to be able to hold things in place and to keep certain plates spinning, for example. But ultimately, it's a matter of where you're growing and leveraging mechanisms to also develop partnerships with people, and fundamentally connecting with people and developing root networks with people, so that in essence you have the ability to fundamentally develop little root partnerships all around the world and many different various formats, so that every single conversation that you have in essence turns into a partnership is the goal, so that everything that you do, everything turns into an asset, because you have a trajectory that has other people connect to you and connect to your process and connect to your energy. So you have that ability to get other people to connect with your value and propose them little bits of potential back-end value, so that you have that conceptual ability to bring people into your energy, your existing purpose of going forward to develop a greater business, and that everybody that talks to you gets to benefit from it to a certain extent or another. So you're able to make roadways and make pathways of where you're growing based on using other people, by adding double value for yourself and other people at the same time, and developing hopefully continuous 50% equity pipeline connection structures with different people that you encounter, so that in essence you are developing 50% of some asset structure as opposed to 0% of nothing. For example, it's just a mindset to be able to try to develop 50% of something as opposed to 0% of nothing on a continuous consecutive basis, where you're constantly fishing in life. You're looking in life to be able to develop your growth, and you're doing it through and with and for other people, but at the same time you're doing it alongside other people, because they benefit and you benefit, and it's a 50% dynamic which you're conceptually continually hoping to experiment with, and being able to grow your process and grow your pipelines and grow your veins and grow your connectivities of mental and physical awareness of how you're able to travel through this world through the essence of people. People are the most powerful items and tools on this planet, because in essence everybody's got their own root network structure. So you want to be able to vet out an asset process, and not really start talking to somebody unless they have an asset process, or they've shown an indicator of an asset process behind that. And so you're basically using people as tools Also, to be able to develop where you're growing, the essence of where you're growing, to answer the question, where are you growing? To be able to know that other people have the answers for you, because you are leveraging people as clients and partners at the same time, by having it in mind the trajectory of how to vet people to begin with before you open a conversation. So every conversation is a collaboration, and every collaboration becomes in essence a partnership, more or less, because of the essence where you're in tune and you have vetted people to a certain degree, where you have a certain commonality, to where once you start talking, you hope to know that ultimately it's a matter of trying to find a common interest to be able to land on the dice with each other, so that in essence you are able to ink a verbal deal, like a verbal deal which in essence has the ability to grow into something that can turn into something financial, but that person can also help hold that thing in the air, so that in essence it's also something that through accountability exists and matches with their process, so you both are able to match and be able to grow into new spaces and grow and know where you're both growing, because you're growing in ways which you're able to complement each other to a certain extent. And that fundamentally is the functional interest of spiritual finance and spiritual finance tools, because you can build a painting like Warren Buffett wants you to build a painting, but in essence you're building an engine, and at the same time like a house, because it's a foundational structure, and you have the ability to use these tools for free and also develop them for free. It's like the only type of tools that you can develop for free, basically. Like you would need things in the material physical world to be able to build a house. You need the actual physical materials, and you need the actual physical tools to build that house. Whereas in the spiritual finance realm, you can use imagination, and you can use corresponding systems that are mental systems to correspond to spiritual finance, to be able to develop a picture and a depiction and a system to be able to approach different people, so that when you go up to approach them, you know that because you have that in your background, in your mindset, where you're trying to grow and where you're growing, for example, where you're growing and where you're going, that people can feel that energy of you having momentum and moving in a certain direction, so that in essence they want to be part of the ship that you're on, so that they can travel alongside of it in essence. And it's an easy sell. It's not really a sell, it's just a friendship. Realistically, it's a friendship, because that person can just get on your boat and sort of vibe with the energy that you have in your tool belt and the things that you've got behind you, which can be in many ways spiritual finance based, because you don't necessarily have to have a lot to be able to pre-sell someone. Just like asking somebody to go out and play bowling with you if you know them just for a little bit, because they're a friend and you can feel that they're a friend, and you can find friendships and kinships, but finding friendship, asset, partnership type of relationship dynamics also includes something similar in terms of research with somebody that knows how to bowl or likes bowling, for example, and you do that research, so that in essence once you ask them to go bowling in a figurative sense, in a metaphorical sense, that it's in a business sense, that you ask people that align with your interests, such as bowling, for example, but in the business sense you ask people that are aligned in an asset business sense, so that it's more easy for them to want to coincide and develop and do something fun with you, like going bowling, for example, because that's the interest and that's the hope and that's the potential, is to try to do fun things with people and try to make things that have potential to grow into other things. That's why I'm trying to start to develop a freelance consulting company in Hong Kong, for example, and or the next place that I end up going in terms of the region and relocation, that is sort of planned on the forefront, so that in essence we're able to try to give people free consulting on the forefront and try to be able to vibe with them on the forefront and develop business energy on the back end, and be able to potentially take back end commission on that front end servicing, that hopefully is just a matter of something as simple as aligning with somebody that wants to go bowling with you, for example, but trying to find those people through certain networking events and such things, to also try to find a fluidity in terms of our mindset and our ability to have a functional collective process where we're emanating off of each other and tapping into each other's nervous systems, for being able to connect our best interests and also our best sides of ourselves, to be able to express asset energy, which corresponds to the nature of growth and fundamental growth invention. And furthermore, being able to leverage spiritual finance tools is ultimately how you're able to, and how anyone is able to build their own company within themselves, build their own process, build their own pipelines of structure and focus and emphasis related to and revolving around and corresponding to attention, different aspects of attention which correspond to the business, the type of business that you would want to see if you had unlimited money, if you had infinite money, and you could grow into the pipelines of any sort of outcome that you wanted to in the whole world. Those are little tools that visualization helps you depict and develop a construct and a structure inside of your own mind to be able to follow through with or follow up on any given interest that you might have, because these spiritual finance tools basically are free tools, and you can invent the tools, and you can also invent the apparatuses and how they function and how they flow by inventing the tools to begin with, and then also inventing the houses and the processes and the machines in spiritual finance that different focuses and different attention is able to flow through, and so that those things are repeatable, like writing things down and having that come up once a week, that you read a certain journal, that you remind yourself about a specific thing, because you know that's how you optimize your own process. And these spiritual finance tools are, again, things that you can invent. These are things that are able to highlight the best side of yourself so that you can grow internally, grow in a metaphysical sense, grow towards the essence of the things which you most care about in terms of an entrepreneurial business, and definitely trying to leverage 50% partnerships with other people in life so that you have the ability to connect and coincide on functional ways to be able to grow your business nervous system into the greater webs of the world and expand those neural networks into the pipelines of society, so that society is able to benefit from your greater interest of growth, and you're able to tap into and widen your process like a rubber band, so other people are able to slide in there by, in essence, leveraging your own spiritual finance tools that have the ability to scale. It makes the ability for things to scale up to an infinite degree, an infinite number, because in the universe things are infinite. So once you've developed scales inside of yourself, they can vector scale up. Vector is like a graphic design word, which means you can scale it infinitely. And once you've developed spiritual finance tools and systems, those in like an investing sense, in an investing corresponding type of mindset, way to invest your time so that you optimize your time is a way to make systems for your time and energy and effort and hopeful optimal results and hopeful cash flow and energy flow and cash flow, so that ultimately you're able to vector size, scale up the processes of your focuses and people that are partnerships to be able to either come through or not come through, because some things can falter, but then ultimately it can accommodate for new energy to be able to flow through in a positive sense, and trying to triangulate for the most assets to be able to connect with the most assets possible to grow into your neural network and your neural network of growth, to have a reciprocal symbiotic connection and relationship with the environment of the planet Earth and the root network system, to try to be able to add the most value and find the people that are also like lily pads to your process of making a pathway to continue to step forward, to be able to try to continue to grow. And where are you growing? You're growing forward. And you're growing a pipeline of a neural network for the world to be able to benefit from by developing your own house, by developing your own spiritual finance tools and your own spiritual finance house, and therefore your own spiritual finance picture and depiction and engine and art piece, just like Warren Buffett calls his portfolio an art piece. That's the kind of portfolio that you can build for free inside of yourself as an energy portfolio, an energy system, an energy flow mindset, an asset energy flow mindset portfolio depiction art piece system, like Warren Buffett talked about his own money portfolios that way. And it starts with energy flow and energy development flow and momentum growth and expansion in the energy flow sense before expanding into the cash flow sense. Energy flow before cash flow, energy flow, and so on and so on and so on. And that's all for now. Thanks again. Ding Tech. Bye. Peace. Bye. Ding Tech Change for Games, Ding Tech Change for Game Studios. Bye, peace, bye.